Hello, Sharks fans! My name is Jacob Boyd, here with the first episode of my Sharks podcast, and I look forward to giving you guys a bunch of Sharks content throughout the year, throughout the off season. I'm looking to give you everything that you guys want to see. Please put it in the comments below, and we'll go ahead and get to those topics for what you guys want to see. But for the first podcast that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be going over the Sharks 2023 lines. Those lines are going to start off with, on the left wing, I'm going to go Mikael Granlund. Mikael Granlund had a 41-point season last year. Maybe not to what people wanted to see in Pittsburgh. I think that, the Penguins had their shortcomings, I would say, last year. They didn't have the prolific scoring that they once had. Obviously, they still have Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, but a lot of injuries happened in that season. So I can't fault that. Mikael Granlund all the way. He did play 79 games played. Which was more than a lot of people expected. I think a lot of people expected, maybe a injury-riddled season, like some other guys that we're going to be talking about in the future with, a couple other line mates maybe, or possible. I think that Mikael Granlund will give you 15 to 20 goals next season, especially if he's on the power play, which I believe he's going to be on most of the season. I think that Mikael Granlund will actually play on all three levels, which is the power play, the penalty kill, and also the just 5-on-5. I believe that he's going to be in all three zones playing. A lot of people say, he doesn't work hard on the defensive end. I believe that he does. I believe that he gives that, two-way mentality that the Sharks need, especially coming off of last year where they were horrible in terms of, two-way play. I think that, maybe you see that with Barabanov and Couture, that are really good on that level. But I think that Mikael Granlund could end up, solidifying that two-way, winger. Usually we only have that up the middle style of play, which I believe that he might play third line center. I think that could be a play for him. But I'm going to stick him on the first line on the left wing and next to Tomas Hertl, who's going to be, centering the top line. I believe that he is going to have a bounce back season. I believe that most Sharks fans want to see that. I think that for myself, I want to see that. And I believe he can do it. I believe he can be a two-way center and support that top line by, he kind of plays behind the net a little bit. He drives, that behind or on the boards behind the net kind of play, kind of like the Joe Thornton, or he reminds me a lot about the Joe Thornton play. A bigger body, wants to be behind the net, wants to dish, and I believe that he will do so. So that's going to be my top line center. I wouldn't think that anybody would have him anywhere else, to be honest. And then on the right wing was a little bit of a different take for me. I believe that Filip Zadina could be here on the right wing, but I also could see, Duclair as the right wing center. But I'm going to go with Zadina here. I think that Coach Quinn can give him the opportunity to start the season and start it strong with the two other forwards on this line, and it might give Zadina that confidence that he needs and score in terms of scoring. I think the two people that he's going to be playing with are proven veterans who score and they also dish, and Zadina just puts the puck in the net. Obviously, he hasn't been doing that as much with the Red Wings, but going back to juniors and some of the time in the A, I think that he will put the puck in the net and surprise a lot of people, and hopefully he puts the I can't put the puck in the net to bed, because the Red Wings gave up on him. They sure did, and I do think the Sharks will give him that opportunity to start on the top line. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, no way does he start on the top line. Well, he may not, but I think that he will, because Quinn wants to get him off and going in a positive direction. And if it doesn't work out, you could drop him to the third line and, see what he can do there. But that's just my starting, lineup, starting top line for now. And Quinn can adjust the lines accordingly. But we're going to go Mikael Granlund, Tomas Hertl, and Filip Zadina, top line. And then going over to the second line, we're going to go ahead and do, on the left wing, we're going to say Alexander Barabanov. I wouldn't say he had a great season in terms of point production, but he does everything that you want in a player. He's good along the boards. He passes very well, and he could put the puck in the net here and there. I do think he needs to, score a little bit more than he does, take more shots than he does. I think he looks to pass up the puck a little bit more than, you want. But I think that it works with his style of play. And I think that, you're going to see an improved production from Barabanov on this year because of some of the ads that we got in terms of the forward group. And then moving on to the center, we're going to go with Logan Couture. Obviously, captain of the Sharks. A lot of people want to vilify him and tell the story that he didn't have a good season last year or he didn't do enough as captain. But in my belief, Logan had one of the best years of his career, second best of his career, actually. And I think it was at the age of 35. And a lot of people want to, not see him as captain next year. But in my estimation, 67 points is not a bad season. A lot of people look at, his 8 million AAV, but I think he's lived up to it so far. Yes, he has 4 more seasons, which it might not age well, but we're hoping to get the Logan Couture of last year and maybe a slight tick up, hopefully. But even if he did something like he did last year, I'm okay with. If he does regress, that's when you gotta start looking at maybe possibly moving him to the third line, things of that nature. But for now, I got him at the second line, center position. And then he's going to be, on the right side of him, he's going to have Anthony Duclair. I think Duclair is a pure scorer. You're going to get a tough game out of Duclair. He's going to... He scored 31 goals, a few seasons ago. He did have his Achilles tear, and he is still working himself back, but he proved in last year's playoffs that he can still put the puck in the net and do good things. And so I am going to have him slotted next to Couture, where it just gives that solidified, bona fide scorer on that second winger position where Couture and Barabanov can just dish it to Duclair and make him and have him do a lot of the work. I think Couture will work defensively, Barabanov will work defensively and kind of help Duclair out on the defensive end, where you can just let Duclair, wreak havoc on the offensive side of the puck, or in the offensive zone, I should say. And so moving on to the third line. On the third line, I have the left winger is going to be Mike Hoffman. A lot of people know that name because it was in the Erik Karlsson trade. And I think a lot of people are hoping for good things from, Mike Hoffman. Mike Hoffman can really, really shoot the puck. Okay, for a lot of Sharks fans that don't know Mike Hoffman, the guy has one of the best one-timers in the league. He has one of the best shots in the league. Now, the last 3 years has been around 17 goals a season, which you're like, that's not very good for a guy that can really shoot the puck. But the guy can shoot the puck, and he didn't really get the power play time that you wanted to see from, the time that he was, on his other team for the last 3 years. And I think the Sharks are going to give it to him. I really do. I think that he's going to be one of the key, cogs in that power play lineup. But on the third line, I think it fits him here. I think that he's going to have a bounce back season. I hope that he could get that 20 goal mark, especially playing a lot more power play minutes. But, I wouldn't expect him to be all worldly defensively. Obviously, we're not asking him to do that. We are asking him to put the puck in the net. And a third line, winger doesn't normally put in a ton of goals, but I think he might have that 20 plus goal mark this year just because of the power play time. A 5-on-5, he's a little, not suspect, but he's a little bit more a power play guy, I would say. So look for him to, get most of his points there. And hopefully he can chip in offensively about 15 to 16 minutes a night, I would say, for him. And then I'm going to move over to the third line center role. I think this is one of the most debatable roles on the team right now. And with that, I'm going to go with Thomas Borderlow. I know this might be a stretch or one of those guys that you might not think may make the team even, but I think he does. I think that this is the year that he has to prove himself. A lot of people are saying that on the hockey writers and things of that nature, but just going off of what he was supposed to do last year, didn't get as much playing time as he thought he might. But has all the skill in the world. And I think a third line center role can really solidify him in terms of getting the ice time of, hopefully 15 minutes a game and 15, 16 minutes a game. It might be a little bit under that as well, but he can really do good things offensively. It's his defensive two-way game that is also going to have to, improve. And I think, on the left wing, you got Hoffman, you got Bordello. There's a lot of, defensive ineptitudes. For those that don't know that is they're just not that good defensively. So I'm hoping that they put in more goals than they can like give up, I guess. And so, moving on to the third line right winger, I think a lot of people have a bunch of different takes on this one as well. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say Kevin Labanc makes the team. And this is also a tough one to say because I think Kevin Labanc has been vilified in San Jose. I think he hasn't proven himself except for that 1 year. I think he was on the line with Joe Thornton where he scored a bunch of goals, 20 plus goals one season. And he's never really done anything past that. And he's never came close to being a winger that plays any type of defense that you need to improve as a team. And the Sharks had noticed that and pretty much scratched him a couple times. And you're not going to make teams if you're not going to play defense the way that an NHL caliber hockey team needs, especially when you're one of the worst defensive teams in all of hockey last year. But moving forward, I have Kevin Labanc, who I'm hoping can rectify and re-energize his career. I think he knows that this could be one of his last stops in terms of showing NHL teams, other NHL teams that, might want him next year or even at the trade deadline to go out and show out, basically. I'm hoping that we can get a renaissance out of him, and I believe in him. I really do. I really think that he does have that natural scoring ability. To much of the chagrin of Sharks fans, right? I don't think that most Sharks fans like him, but I do think that he can rectify his career, and I hope that it is this year on kind of a rectified third line in terms of, guys that don't really play two-way hockey, but just go out and all offense, and hopefully that they can get the job done defensively or as best as they can, and hopefully they put the puck in the net, because that's what we're really looking forward to in that line. The fourth line, I have Zetterlund, Fabian Zetterlund as the fourth line left winger. I think Zetterlund came from New Jersey, who he actually played well in New Jersey. A lot of people don't really understand that the Sharks did get we're hoping that they got like a middle six forward in Fabian Zetterlund. I think that a lot of people saw when he came over that he just didn't work as hard. He looked lost out there. Didn't produce the way that Sharks fans wanted out of a person that got traded for Timo Meier, right? And a lot of Sharks fans were not happy with that. And so I believe that Fabian Zetterlund has, we're hoping that he has a 10 to 15 goal season on the fourth line. He's going to play a lot of PK minutes, right? And you're hoping that we can get at least around 10 to 15 goals. And, he's going to be playing defensive hockey on the fourth line, especially with the people that I'm going to be mentioning on this line as well. They're very, very good defensively. So, hopefully we could get Fabian Zetterlund, as a bounce back kind of player. And moving on to the fourth line center role, we're going to go with Nico Sturm. Obviously, one of the best signings of Mike Greer's tenure in terms of free agents, and played just a gritty, good along the boards, did everything you need as a Stanley Cup winner, really. Coming over from Colorado, Stanley Cup winner, you have to have those qualities. And I think Colorado really missed that last year. And I believe that he showed what a fourth line center really needs to be. And we're hoping that we get more Sharks like him, in the future. And he's one of those guys that is going to be a mainstay on that fourth line center role here for even next year, because we have him for 2 more seasons. So we're hoping that Nico can just do what he did last year. He put the puck in the net as a fourth line player. He did all the gritty stuff, and that's what you're looking for. And then I think we're moving on to the right wing position, fourth line right wing position. Now, this could have been, this could have gone a lot of different ways, but I think that Luke Kunin is the fourth line center. A lot of people, looked at him as, almost a second line winger last year, and people just there should have been no expectation for a second line right winger alongside Logan Couture as Luke Kunin. He does put the puck in the net. He has qualities of doing that, in Nashville, but he's really that gritty, grinded out kind of guy that has offensive upside. And I think that Mike Greer looked for that, in the offseason a year ago, just because we didn't have much grittiness. And that's what he got in Nico Sturm and Luke Kunin. And I think between, excuse me, Zetterlund and Sturm, Kunin can be that right winger that also goes in gritty corner battles, hopefully goes to the front of the net and scores a few goals as well. I do believe that he can also move up in the lineup and up into the third line role. If one of those third liners don't produce, and I could see him taking, that position. But for now, I'm going to have Kunin on the fourth line, winger as well. And I think that we're going to see, a fourth line, just like last year, keep going, keep producing. And we're going to be able to roll 4 lines next year. I think the Sharks are so much deeper as a forward group than we have in the past couple of years. And I think that Sharks fans are gonna see that. Obviously, we're not gonna see that through our defensive pairings and our defensive posture. I think we're not gonna be as offensive, and trying to keep the puck in. I think Quinn's style of play does want to keep the puck in. I do think the players will dictate that, and I'm curious on what Quinny is going to be doing with the defensive posture next season, and how are we going to try to keep everything in like we did last year, almost have like a press point play, but I'm curious. That's one of the things that I want to see. Moving over to our defensive pairings, I'm going to go as a left shot, left defenseman. We're going to go Mario Ferraro. I thought Ferraro was one of the guys that had more of a disappointing season in my eyes. I didn't like his play at all. I thought he was weak in front of the net, even though he was a try-hard. which you're always going to get with Mario Ferraro. And I think that he's going to give everything he does have every night. And that's what I do love about him. But I just can't stand the play in front of the net, not boxing the guys out, not getting, stick on stick in front of the net, not being tough enough in front of the net to get the guys from coming in and getting those dirty area goals. And I think that was one area that the Sharks were terrible in. I thought Erik Karlsson was terrible defensively in front of his own net. Obviously he made up for it, offensively, but with that missing on that end, I think we do save goals next year. We're not going to let up as many, just because of our defensive play is going to be so much better. And not just stick checking lightly in front of the net. So anyways, Mario Ferraro, left wing, top line. We're going to go right wing shot, Jan Ruda. Ruda is coming over from, Pittsburgh, formerly of the Montreal Canadiens, formerly a 2-time Stanley Cup winner. And you're going to love this guy, Sharks fans. I think that Jan Ruda is, very defensive minded. He's going to be tough in front of the net. I think you're going to see, but I do think that you're going to also see somebody that can move the puck out of the zone. A lot of people don't expect Jan Ruda to be, offensive, but you are going to see breakout passes that are going to be crisp and good breakouts, like you kind of saw with Erik Karlsson, but not as, how would I say this? Not as fancy, right? You're not going to see as fancy moves and on the back end, you're not going to see him skate away from people as much, but you're going to see nice breakout passes. You're going to see quick passes that are correct passes rather than, let's just throw it behind our net and see who gets it on the defensive other, and then try to play this ring around the rosy like the Sharks did all last year, and I just couldn't stand it. But you're gonna see Jan Ruda on the right wing, right shot, top pairing with Mario. Moving on to the second line, defensive pairing is Marc-Edouard Vlasic. A lot of Sharks fans, beloved Sharks guy in Vlasic, left-handed shot, but you're not going to get much offense. I know that he put in 10 goals one year, but I don't expect any offense from him. Maybe 5 to 7 goals at most. And you're going to try to see good quality defensive play, but you're not going to see that all-worldly defensive guy like we once saw before a few years, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And you're just hoping that he can just be strong in front of the net and make breakout passes accordingly. But moving on, we're going to go on his right side. You're going to go Matt Benning. Matt Benning actually had, quite a decent year in terms of point production that most Sharks fans, and so I was also a little surprised in terms of point production. But I think Matt Benning is going to, be the scorer on that, second D pairing and a right shot at that. So I do like Matt Benning's game. I think Vlasic will take care of him defensively, where Matt Benning is not as strong in front of the net, but can break out and be like that, offensive threat. And then moving on to the left defensive, player, I think Henry Thrun is kind of that third line, D pairing, where he's young. Quinny loves him. Obviously, he took him to the World Championships last year for the Team USA, and he literally played him in a lot of situations. Well, actually, he did play him in all situations and gave him a ton of minutes. He didn't score where you thought he would score a lot. or at least somewhat. He didn't score at all, but he played very, very good defense. He's actually strong in front of the net, a lot stronger than I thought he would coming out of college. He did show me a lot in terms of the defensive play that you want to see, but I do think he does have that offensive ability. He has the breakout pass, most all of our defenders don't. I think he has one of the best breakouts that we'll see on the Sharks. And that's what I love to see. I think that he can tick up in terms of minutes next season, and he might take, Vlasic's minutes at some point, depending on Vlasic's play. And so I think that Henry Thrun might be one of those key cogs of the future, and I can't wait to see what he does. And lastly, but not least, I got Burrows as my right wing, right shot defenseman, and he's not one that I know much about. I didn't see Vancouver's play that much last year, and so all I know is that he does have a heavy shot, but in terms of defensively, I believe that he can improve. But I'm going to leave it at that for now, because I do want to see him, in dev camp and or training camp, and see what he has to offer, because I need to learn a little bit more about him specifically. And I can't wait to see that. So, those are my lines in terms of offense and defense. I think that Capo Kakinen and Mackenzie Blackwood are going to, battle it out for the goalie position. Makiniemi will probably be in the AHL. He might see time if something doesn't transpire in those top two goalies in the NHL. And you might see Makiniemi up for a few games like we did see last year, which he played well in. And I look forward to seeing his development, but that could be for another day. But those are my Sharks lines for 2023. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to drop a comment in the section below. And please like, comment, share, subscribe. I would love to hear your guys' feedback on this video. Please, again, this is Jacob Boyd with Hello Sharks fans. Thanks again, guys.